The last section in chapter 5 is on dividing polynomials. You knew it was coming. We added, we subtracted, we multiplied. Now we're going to divide them. And just like with long division, it's not really hard. It's just lots and lots and lots of tedious little parts and pieces. And in all honesty, dividing polynomials is much easier than long division with that you learned in kindergarten, or I guess it was probably 3rd grade by that time. Anyway, we're going to do these division problems. They're going to look like long division problems. Let me show you. We're only going to do 3 on this video. They're tedious, but they're not hard. So here we go. We're going to start off with x squared plus 5x plus 7 over x plus 2. And now before, what we did was we divided it up and we put one every part of the trinomial over the denominator, but this denominator is not a monomial. So we have to divide it out because every part needs to be divided by every part. So what you're going to do is you're going to set it up like a long division problem. Your numerator becomes the part that's under the box. It's your dividend. So x squared plus 5x plus 7 goes under the box. And the x plus 2 is the part that you're going to divide by. Now, kind of like when you're doing long division, you're mostly, in long division, you're interested in the first digits of whatever it is that you're multiplying by and into. In this case, that's all you care about right now. You want to say x times what will give you x squared. And you want it to be exactly x squared. So x times x equals x squared. That's what you want. You want this part to match. So x times x. And if you'll notice, when I'm dividing, I put that x term over this x term of my dividend, all right, of the number that's in the box. I'm going to match the terms here, just like you do with place values in long division. So now, remember, when you multiply, so this is like, it's like long division. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. So we divided, and x times x equals x squared, so we divided. Now we've got to multiply. And remember, when you multiply, you've got to multiply every part by every part. So we already did the x times x is x squared, but you also have to multiply that x by the positive 2. So x times 2 is plus 2x. All right? So we divided, we got our number, we multiplied, and we're going to get the binomial now that is the product of x times x plus 2. The next step in our process, divide, multiply, subtract. So we're going to subtract this whole binomial. Here's what I want you to do, all right? Because you're subtracting, you're going to go through and you're going to change the sign on everything that you're subtracting so that you don't forget. So you're going to add the opposite of this and the opposite of this. So change all of the signs. So now you simply add straight down. So x squared and a negative x squared is nothing. And that should be the case every time. Your first term here should just drop out every time. So 5x minus 2x is 3x. So we divided, we multiplied, we subtracted. Now we bring down. Bring down the next term, just like you do in long division. So bring down a plus 7. And so now we look to see, we're going to divide again. Remember, that's the cycle. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. So x times what is 3x? Well, x times 3 gives you 3x. So plus 3, don't lose your symbol in between there. So 3 times x is 3x. And now don't forget, 3 times 2 is 6. So divide, multiply, now we subtract. So when we subtract, we're going to change the sign on everything. And now this drops out. 7 minus 6 is 1. And remember, instead of just putting remainder 1, do you remember the next step up from that? We're going to create a fraction that's going to be the remainder of this. So we're going to have plus, this 1 that's left is going to go over your divisor. So 1 over x plus 2. And this is your final answer. So if you were to take this times this, you would end up with x squared plus 5x plus 7. All right? If you're brave and think you got it, go ahead and try this one and then come back to me. If you think, I'm not quite there yet, then follow along. Let's do another one. Here we go. So step 1, divide. 3x times what equals 15x? Well, 3 times 5 is 15, and x times x is x squared. So I need a 5, 5 times 3 is the 15, and x times x is x squared. So 5x times 3x is now 15x squared, which is what we want. Don't forget, now you multiply by the other part also. 5x times negative 2 is negative 10x. And now when you subtract, don't forget to change every sign. So we're going to minus and plus, because that was a negative, now it's a positive. The first terms drop out, yay. Negative 22 and a positive 10 is a negative 12x. We divided, we multiplied, subtracted. Now bring down. 3x times what is negative 12x? Ooh, in this case, in order to get from a positive 3 to a negative 12, we're going to have to multiply by a negative number. And 3 times 4 is 12. And x times nothing is already x, so just minus 4. So negative 4 times 3x is the negative 12x that we want. Now don't forget to multiply your negative 4 times the negative 2. So 4 times 2 is 8. Negative times a negative is a positive, so plus 8. And now because we're subtracting, we're going to change each of these symbols. That part drops out. 14 minus 8, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 is 6. And what do you do with that part? Do you remember? It's positive, so you're going to add 6 over your denominator, which is 3x minus 2. Easy sneezy, you got this. All right, one more. I'm going to make it a little bit trickier. You know I would. I always do that to you. So write this down while I erase, unless you don't have this yet, but you can pause. Pause it and write it down, and I'm going to erase it. Here we go. Are you doing these with me as we go? I really hope so, because the more you do it, the more it's going to come back to you as you're doing your homework. All right, here we go. So we're going to divide. Now here's the trick with this part. Every term must be represented in your divisor. So in this case, first of all, the degrees of these exponents are not in order. And number 2, they're not all represented. So what you're going to do is, in your divisor, in your dividend, the number that's inside the box, you're going to start out with the largest exponent. So 8x to the 4th goes first. And now we need an x cubed, but we don't have one. So just like in long division, you've got to have placeholders in those numbers. We're going to add a 0x cubed because we're going to need an x cubed term. Then we have minus 14x squared. And we don't have an x term, so we're going to say plus 0x. Oh my goodness, and I scooched over too far. And a minus 9. I'm not going to have room for my remainder. The 2x minus 1 is your divisor, and now we're set up and ready to just divide. And it's longer, but it's not harder. So 2 times 4 is 8, and x times x cubed gives you x to the 4th. So there's your 8x to the 4th power. Now don't forget, negative 1 times 4x cubed is negative 4x cubed. You divide, multiply, subtract, change all of the signs here. This one drops out, and this becomes 4x cubed. Now bring down. Bring down, don't forget to bring down the negative 14x squared. 2x, 2 times 2 is 4, and it's positive, so put a plus in between. 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. X times x squared gives you 4x cubed. And then 2x squared times a negative 1 is a negative 2x squared. Subtract, so change all of your signs. This one becomes negative, this one becomes positive, and this drops out. Yay. Negative 14x plus 2x. The signs are different, so you subtract. 14 was bigger, so it's negative. Don't lose your x squared. Bring down. Bring down a 0x. Now same thing again. Do you see that it's the same thing over and over and over again? All right. If you can look at it and not think of, oh, we've got this huge problem. It's just look at each small problem. I can do this small problem. How many times does 2x go into negative 12x squared? That's easy, right? So 2 times 6, 2 times a negative 6 is negative 12, so negative 6. And x times x is x squared. So negative 6x times 2x is your negative 12x squared. Negative 6x times a negative 1 becomes a positive 6x. When you subtract, change all the signs. Don't forget this step. Don't forget to change all the signs. There we go. So now we have a negative 6x. Bring down a negative 9. We're almost done. 2x. 2 times a negative 3. 2 times a negative 3 is negative 6, and x times nothing is x. So there we go. Negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. And negative 3 times a negative 1 is a positive 3. So change all the signs. Negative and a negative. Because you're adding, they stay negative, but you add 9, 10, 11, 12. Negative 12. So, all right, here we go. So your final answer, I'm going to move it down here so you can see what it looks like. So you have 4x cubed plus 2x squared minus 6x minus 3. And then you're going to have minus 12 over 2x minus 1. Easy sneezy, you can do this. All right. So step 1, make sure that your divisor and your dividend start with the largest degree and move down, and every term is represented. Make sure every term is represented, and then simply look to see how many times does your first term, what do you need to multiply by your first term to get the first term of your dividend. All right. You can do it one part at a time, small parts at a time, and work it through. All right. See you next time.